Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tacos and TECHquila. I am your host, Katie Kosel, coming at you from Boston. We have the lovely David Reid with us today. We're coming at you. He's in the NOV office building in Houston. He is the CTO and CMO of NOV. He's been there over 32 years.
Yes.
Which is a feat in and of itself.
I couldn't get another job.
Yeah, you really couldn't.
I tried.
Good thing you love it. Yeah. Also the founder of redM, which is an organization that he's super passionate about it. I love hearing him talk about it, and we'll dive in deeper. So welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we'll start off with the taco.
Start off with a taco.
So where did you get the taco today?
I went to Torchy's.
Okay.
Torchy's Taco.
Love it.
Which is a classic Texas brand.
Was it a food truck or?
No, as much as everyone loves the food truck game here, it is a full-on chain.
Hey, we love it though.
The connoisseurs say it's not that great, but you know, us middle of the roaders, it's amazing.
Awesome. What kind of taco is it?
I got the trailer trash, extra trashy.
That's great. I didn't even know that was a name. Oh my God.
It is. They have good names.
Good. Is it, let me guess, is there some ground beef in it?
No, it has fried chicken in it. And, lots of things you just don't ask questions about.
You just go for it. All right, let's see the taco. You can do a close up. Yeah.
Extreme close up.
Let's do a close up.
Open up. Here it comes.
I love it. Okay, so we got fried chicken. Look at that. Okay, is there some cheese sauce on that?
Oh, there's cheese. There's spicy things. I don't know.
That's great. All right.
Just a lot of goodness.
First bite. Go for it. Here we go. Off the bat. So we got flour tortilla, right? Mm-hmm. Spicy, fried chicken.
Well-made fried chicken. I like it. I'll taste it.
All right. What do you give it? 1 to 10?
It's a 9. It's a 9.
Okay.
I like it a lot.
That's good. I
may have been there before and had it before, so.
So you know what you like.
And I've never asked what's in it, so that's
that
you asked me that. I don't know. I always order it.
All right. So we got Torchy's tacos in Houston. Is it Trailer Park Trash Taco? Is that what you said?
All it says is trashy trailer is what I got. Trashy
trailer. Say that 10 times fast.
So that's
taco.
I think it is trailer park, and then it's trashy style, so you get some extra.
Okay. Yeah. So if you're ever in Houston, check out Torchy's. I was telling David, I've been to Houston quite a few times, and I haven't gone to Torchy's, but people say it's the best, so I got to check it out.
Good. It's pretty
All
good.
All right, 9 out of 10.
This is how good it is. Watch. That's how good it is. Woo!
Is it spicy?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's got a kick. Yeah. I mean, you always have to have a little kick with the taco.
I think so.
Right? You can't go wrong. But
part of the game.
Yeah. Well, thank you for waiting until 2:10 p.m. to eat that taco. I'll let you finish it after this. But I want to jump into redM, the human trafficking, the organization. I'm going to let David explain it. He has been such an inspiration. To give a background, obviously I work for K-Force. Last Super Bowl, we did March Madness, we did a fundraiser for redM, and it was awesome. It was super successful. People were really into it. He had one of his ambassadors get on a call and explain the importance of it, and but I'll pass it over to David. Kind of tell us how the organization got started, and where'd you come up with the name?
Most importantly, what's that?
Yeah, right. I haven't learned that yet.
It comes up a lot. Well, my wife, actually, my kids were in their late teens, and I wanted my wife to think of letting them leave the house. That was in my agenda, and so I asked her to think about who we were going to be when the kids were gone. That was kind of the line I gave her, and she came back after going to a conference and said, "We're going to fight human trafficking," and I was like, "So not golf then?" That wasn't.
That's not something you expect.
No, it was a big surprise, and I thought, and I'm traveling around the world though, and I was like, I don't know what I can do, but sure, let's try. And we went to Greece actually because we thought it wasn't in the States. The people in Greece said, yeah, but you'd have to live here for at least 6 months, and that was really a bummer. So my wife came back quite sad, And that weekend, there was a piece in the paper of a 14-year-old that had been trafficked and rescued in Houston. So she found the lady who wrote the op-ed and started working for her doing undercover work in Houston. And I didn't really know what that was, so I was still traveling. And one day I was going to work and she says, "Hey, I'm going to go to the airport to pick up a client today, but I have a police escort." And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah.
So she said, "Well, these are the large cartels, and these are very dangerous people who are behind this. So I need that." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm not sure I like you doing this work."
Yeah.
It started to dawn on me how dangerous it was. So we kind of shifted gears and went to helping survivors. And so we started working with an organization that was doing that. We housed people in our house who'd come through that. And so we learned that we were very good at being with survivors. So that was very comfortable. Not everyone is good at that, but we were particularly good at it. And then we just did different things. And then the organization she was helping, an organization called redM, they're a safe house here in Houston. They wanted to get me on the board. Beth was already on the board. And they said, we'd like to swap the two of you and give Beth a break and have you on the board. And I was like, I guess, So I wasn't really excited about it, to be honest. And when I turned up, they were pretty much a classic nonprofit board. They're doing incredible work. It's very expensive to do recovery. And they were trying to get money and they weren't great at telling their story. So I was going to suggest some things in the board meeting, but I could tell they weren't going to be too receptive to this. So the next day I went to LinkedIn, put a post up and said, who wants to give marketing muscle to this problem? And 57,000 views overnight.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, people really are interested. So I got a coffee shop, 50 people turned up, and I kind of broke everyone into tables based on their skill sets, said brainstorm the problem, choose someone to speak on your table. And then when they spoke, I said, okay, now each of you is a department and the person who spoke is the head of the department. And off we went.
Wow.
And we did about 8 months of work for this organization. Everyone kind of burned out, which was really interesting and kind of set the tone for us that we needed to go to this pro bono kind of crowdsourcing model. If we're going to help people have to be able to do small amounts of work and not feel tied into years of overworking and burnout. And so we really started to get more people. We realized you can always add people to this. And over time, we did a lot of things. We learned that most human trafficking organizations who were trying to communicate were not getting any pickup. So when we looked at the digital footprint, the amount of people viewing the content equaled the amount of people working in this space.
Oh, wow.
So it was obvious no one's viewing it. Yeah. So we dug into the message and started to understand people can't cope with the trauma. It's too much information and they like to think it's too far from them. And so they've seen movies and they get it and they're like, it's like Taken. Well, the truth is it's nothing like Taken. I mean, that's a very small portion of trafficking. And what it really is a gigantic business that is around us and is hitting our kids. Most people down in Texas, they're like, oh, it must be the border. About 82% are Americans who are trafficked. So people don't realize it's here, it's us, it's our kids, and most of the kids we think are runaways are actually being trafficked. So over time, we've done a lot more educating, a lot more events and things that people can go to have fun. So we have culture nights, we have a Spanish night, Scottish night, or whatever.
I saw that,
we do those things.
Yeah.
But whatever anyone wants to do, whatever they love doing, we set up ways to engage people. We don't really mind how it is. We've learned how to do process and procedure so that people know how to do it well. And we've got, it's 100% volunteer, the organization.
And I think what's so great about it is, I'm sure you can dive deeper. A lot of the volunteers are people in, high-level executive positions like yourself,
Everything, but the executive positions help because people want access to those people, so it makes people want to come along and do stuff.
Exactly.
It also gets us a ton of free things because everyone's trying to impress each other. I'll do that for nothing. Okay, great. So for nothing is like my love language. That's if people want to do it for free, I'm like, yes. And if people want to charge, I'm like, I'll go find someone who doesn't want to steal from people being trafficked. So
Exactly.
I'm really
so the name redM.
Well, so originally we were helping Redeemed, and we called it Redeemed Marketing. But that didn't. When we were finished with that job, everyone's like, I want to keep doing this and growing it. And I was like, okay, well, so we changed it to mean something else.
Okay.
So now it's resource empower develop movement. So we look at resourcing professionals, getting them what they need to understand it. Getting to people is the resourcing side. Empowering is teaching them how to use their skills or to do something. When people do something, they start to connect to the problem instead of just helping it, like any charitable give. And you don't connect to it. You just want it to feel like you did something so it doesn't bother you anymore. So the empowerment is important. And then we do a lot of leadership development, a lot of helping people to grow in their skill level, to grow in how they impact their community. So we actually do leadership classes, which is popular.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And we have a series called Conscious Leadership. And I work with a lady who's a PhD in that space. And we share, tools and ways to lead people. And then movement is just because that's how it works, is we have a movement of people. A lot of the putting your cup on social media on a Monday morning, #RedMonday.
Yeah.
And people doing that causes people to look, because if it was anything to do with trafficking, or obviously pictures or images of trafficking, people wouldn't stop.
Exactly.
But so that works as a how do you get something sticky that people will pay attention to, and then how do you feed this information with a spoonful of sugar, so that people feel like, okay, I'm doing things I like to do, and I'm learning about trafficking on the way, and I have my own road to steer.
Yep.
So we do education for companies. As we were going along, more suits turned up. It was kind of like a coffee shop crowd.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Suddenly people turned up in suits, and you're like, oh, how are we going to keep them entertained? But they wanted their companies involved. So we've learned how to involve whole companies. So we do education programs. We look at anything that's a problem and anything where we have a solution. We did a airport museum deal here where the airport came and said, we're seeing no trafficking. And I was like, let me get people who've been trafficked through your airport to speak to your employees. And so we built a museum for them with stories that help you to illustrate what it's like for a child who shouldn't be in this environment.
That's nice. What airport was that?
IAH.
Oh,
and,
okay.
When we did the first one, we had this nice exhibit idea where there's a 5-seat, those leather seats that you sit in at the airport. And the middle seat we painted red and put a story of a 10-year-old who was trafficked through IAH.
Wow.
And so at that exhibit, before we started, a lady came up and said, will you stand behind this chair for me and I'll take a picture? I was like, yeah, sure. And so then afterwards she said, I want to tell you, I wanted your picture with this because I was that 10-year-old. And she goes, I told the people for the book that you pulled it from, but I've never really talked about it. And I said, well, do you want to talk? She goes, yeah, I actually carry my unaccompanied minor on my ticket from being trafficked.
Wow.
And I'd love to talk. And so she did. And since then, the airport has had 5 cases of trafficking that they've identified. So from 0 to 5. They said if we get 1, it was worth it. But they got
100%.
5.
That's so powerful.
People do the videos to say this is what you watch for trafficking, but it's the same as everything else that they do. Yeah. They're really not. They're just trying to pass the test for the video.
Exactly. And I see it. Yeah, like I see it on backs, with bathroom stalls, and you see
it's there, but it's also it's not fully tuned into what we should be telling people. So it doesn't really alert you to the right stuff. You go, oh, they're doing the right thing, but it doesn't. A survivor, so when they're in being trafficked, they never recognize themselves as trafficked. They're
really?
made to experience that this is a choice. So because when they used to grab people and lock people up, it's much more difficult and dangerous and a lot more work for them as a business compared to brainwashing. So they're using the techniques that cults use to get someone to believe this is, people don't join cults because they're cults.
Yeah, they don't
think
it
they're nice people and they get me. No, I feel a part of something. So they use all those mechanisms and they build barriers for them. So that's why they like teenagers, is they're targeting kids who have no life skills and they make sure they don't get life skills.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so impressive, and to speak to too, when you say human trafficking, or when that word comes up, people they tense up. It's just, and I see it, and because I've been talking about it more too, and it's people stay quiet. Yeah. What
I've been learning is to get people to understand it's your kids I'm talking about, and I was telling the team this morning, but Sunday night, someone had texted me, I think I've got a human trafficking case. There's someone who weren't very close to redM. They'd gone to one event. And I talked to the person. They're like, well, it's a 40-year-old. It's probably not trafficking. And so they described the whole thing. And I went, 100%. I'd say 1,000,000% if that was a thing. This is trafficking. Yeah. Well, no, but she says it's okay and not to tell the police. And I'm like, of course, because that's trafficking.
Yeah.
So she's involved in getting money. This was someone from a wealthy family, so she was involved in cold money from the family. But people don't know what it looks like. And the ones who, we've had maybe 5 cases where we explain what grooming looks like, but people say, that sounds like my daughter right now. And then we use a private investigator and we check on the boyfriend, and all 5 cases have been traffickers, not boyfriends. So we stop it before it happens. But even then, you have to untangle what already psychologically the damage that's been done.
Yeah, and I think you guys do a lot of work with the survivors too. And
we keep a barrier between us and them. So we basically fund and support them, the organizations, but we're not close to it, which is just a good safety thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And some people can't cope with the stories. And so we create enough of a buffer that I'm doing something, but I'm not, I'm not in the middle of it. So we support orgs, and so we give pro bono services to them.
Okay.
We run their events if they want us to. We find ways. We just launched Austin at the weekend, and it was perfect because I'd asked, who's a really good org to work with similar to the ones we've been helping. And they happened to turn up, which was not planned, but it was very exciting for them and us to go, well, we're here to help you, because the great orgs are doing good work for the survivors and they're not doing great work getting money. So you don't get both. You get ones who are really good at getting money, and they do a little bit for survivors, but not as much. They're doing all these other things. They're great marketers. So there's this perfect match where society can jump in and help them.
Yeah. And I think that's a great transition too. I know. So you started it in Houston. How many years ago has this been going on? 6 years. Okay. And then you are now in Austin.
Just started in Austin. We actually have a film project which is going on, and that's...
Yeah, I'd love to hear about that. Like how people can, support that and get involved.
People sign up, and this guy signed up who was a film producer, and I knew his work and was very excited. And my team is trained, if someone says, hey, I need money, you'll have to pay me, but I'd love to help. We say no to all those people. Well, he said the same, and they were like, okay, no, thanks. And they were giving me, like, here's the people we've had talked to. This guy wanted money for a film. I went, no, he's a really good filmmaker. Like, I want to talk to him. So we talked, and I said, look, if it bugs you and you can't get it out of your system, write it down and reach out to us. And so he wrote a whole script and got back to us.
Wow.
And he said, I've been wanting to do this for years. I had the script half done already, but redM allows me to make something of it. We're not just telling trafficking stories. We're telling people how to build their communities and do something about it. And so we played around with them and tried different ways to get the story out. I hate asking for money. So finally he said, well, I'm going to have to move on and leave this for at least a year. And I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So I invited 35 CEOs in Houston to a dinner, not my usual vibe, and just begged.
Hey, nothing wrong with just straight begging sometimes.
And so they were moved, and they have funded the first part now. So we have a project to build a 60-second piece kind of Hollywood level that will go in front of, YouTube or Hulu or whatever. Yep. It's advertising slots, that will tell people the horrors of trafficking without any detail, but enough to engage them and then ask them to do something.
Yeah.
So we have a 7-film plan. So that's the first one. We think the first one will help at least get the energy going.
Yeah.
And so we need funding for that. So that's still a big ask, but we're off down the road. And we're funded. So 3 weeks took us to get enough money to make the first one. So
3 weeks. I mean, that's in the grand scheme of things, that's pretty good, right?
Our point is we got to do this now. If we don't, every day there's someone whose kids are going to be at risk if we don't do something. So, and
I think that's an important part too, is like realizing that it's not just the standard. They're locked up. They know that they're trafficked. It is, and people can't. I mean, even for me, to be honest, like it took me a little bit to wrap my head around it, because I'm like, is this really happening? Like, and I started digging. Yeah, right. Like it really is, and I think people are ashamed to think that this is happening and they don't know about it and they're not doing anything, and
it's modern slavery, so you don't want, in 50 to 100 years, people saying, what did you do in the middle of the big slavery crisis? Well, I just didn't know.
I didn't know, right? And that's, I think, I love seeing on LinkedIn every Monday, the redM, the mug, redM Monday, people from companies like IBM, Halliburton, I mean, all over that are just, they're bringing it to your awareness once a week, but they're not shoving it. It's not like they're shoving it down your throat.
No, and it's amusing. The cups are in funny positions, or they're in funny places, or they're always. It's like a little competition. Really.
I love it. It's like, where's the mug? It could be like out enjoying the sun, or like in a snowstorm, or like in Europe, or like
we're all together. Like when we were in Boston, we were all about to leave, and everyone started taking cup pictures. It was very funny because you learn to have a stock of them, so you can always have something to post nowhere.
Yep. And I think that's the brand too, is like, having it be, I don't know, it's joyful in a sense.
It is. And actually the whole team is joyful. Like we have this very positive vibe because it's people they're very great, very good professionals who are having fun doing this thing, which is horrible.
Yes.
But we're not living in the dirt of it. We're constantly living in a place where we're doing something good together.
Exactly. And I think that's what creates that momentum that is like I'm curious, and that's for me, I'm always asking questions. I'm curious. And that's what drew me to it is like, what is this? I've never seen something like this. I've only seen, in the back of a bathroom or in an airport, a sign.
Always had someone in a corner either.
Yeah, crying,
Yeah. The first year we had a survivor with us who was involved in redM. And at the end for the event, she goes, my daughter and she was a single mom.
Yeah.
My daughter and my mother are willing to speak. And I said, okay, well, you go visit with the film people. And so she went over and they found out she was trafficked and no one knew in that crowd. She looked just like a regular one of us. And so you start to realize it's normal people, sometimes plucked out of college, sometimes, there's all sorts of types that you'll find. And so they get used to this idea, that oh, it's not what I thought.
Yeah, like this is a normal life.
What I thought,
Yeah, and I think we were talking about it too. I'm in Boston. You're in Houston. Obviously this isn't in every single city. So how would you recommend people like myself or other people get involved that aren't physically able to attend the events or be in Houston?
Unfortunately now the plan is you talk to us and say, okay, I want to do it in my city because we're learning with Austin. It's good to be there. We usually have someone who travels to most cities in the world. So we started up in Aberdeen in Scotland, mostly because one of our guys lives in Houston, has a place in Scotland, and so easy.
Yeah.
So it takes someone from the group to go. We had 10 people came with us up to Austin because it was easy. New York, Boston is in that same realm. We have people who go back and forth who are in the org. We have about 1,000 people who have done something for redM.
Wow.
So there's going to be someone who's going back and forth. And then we've a process and procedure team who've been working on building the set so that anyone can pick it up and not go through the pains we've gone through.
Okay.
If you're wanting to do a campaign tomorrow for an org in your town, it's just a picture and a description, and we put it on, and it starts to gather money. So we've found a lot of clever ways to take away the barriers that stop you doing stuff. Yeah,
I'm sure you found mistakes and along the way things that you could
sometimes the team we did the Venezuela night we had, they just ran at it. It was like a 3-month run into an event. They kind of have a 9-month rule.
Okay.
They're Venezuelans. They just were like, we're going to do this. They're passionate and made a great evening out of it. And then on their lessons learned list was everything that we tell people before they start an event. They were like, oh, we got to do it. So that's the empowering part of what we do. We want people to feel empowered. Giving someone a cup, like what can I say? Well, copy ours if you want, or sing it in your own voice.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be perfect. Use hashtag Red Monday. The rest is up to you.
Yeah. I love that, like giving people the option. And what I was talking about too is Kforce, we're a publicly traded company. We have 50 offices across the U.S. and obviously we're local to Boston. We have around 65 people in our office, and it's not me. It's not like I can go right now and I'm going to do a national Kforce meeting with 5,000 people. Right. It's starting off just
what you can do. What you guys were doing is a perfect example of how it begins. But we do get companies who come and say, I want the whole company doing this. Okay, great. Let's develop a campaign. But we put it in their hands. We don't say, here's our team who's going to do everything for you. We say, okay, what resources do you have? Let's learn how to empower that resource and then develop it so that you can execute a movement inside your organization. So it kind of works.
Yeah, how do you find the time? You not only have one title, you have 2 titles.
2 C-suites. And give me 3. I don't care.
So, CTO CMO, I'm honestly so impressed. How do you find the time to juggle, all of it?
I've been in a career with lots of great people who do stuff, and what you know about your big bosses is they don't do anything, They just tell people what to do. So
that is true, yes.
and I'm really good at people growth environment, like creating environments for people to grow. So it's in my skill set of what I do every day and how I manage both of my titles is I've got groups of people who do incredible work. And I've learned how to do that. I'm very good at watching people's skills, helping them to grow their skills and empowering them. And so it is just me being me. I
was going to say, it seems very natural to you. It is.
Even when they went CMO, CTO, people are like, how did those fit together? Well, that's me. That's who I am. I'm obsessed with technology, and I love the long-term thinking of marketing and strategy behind it. So it's a natural fit, and I'm more of an artist type. So these are inventors that I work with. We just spend our time inventing stuff. So
I think the delegation piece is so important, and
that's that with our leadership team who are all operational.
Yeah.
And usually they're just like, what have you done now? I literally had this text before I came in. What else are you going to surprise us with? Because we have an arts and entertainment group now, and they're like, well, we were just getting used to the oil and gas group that you just invented. And I said, well, I didn't invent it. I just a team to do it. And they're not our regular people. I just found someone say, hey, you want to do this? And they were like, yeah, I'll do it.
I think that, this is making a lot of sense because, a lot of people, so I'm in, and a lot of my followers too are in that middle management bucket, right? I'm a market manager, so I have people that I'm mentoring and managing, but I'm a player coach. Right. So I'm very much doing my own thing, producing, but then also mentoring.
How can you do that and have a podcast? It's impossible. I'm sure you have no homework.
I know.
It's life, right? We
life. Yeah.
Things happen. And I also am not as controlling as most leaders. So when it doesn't work, it's really cool. And when people are like, it looks like this isn't going to work, I'm like, then cancel it.
Yep.
And they go, what can we do? Or delay it 3 months. And they can't believe almost everything we do ends up with some delay instead of we have to do it in March? Do we?
I love that mentality.
Who cares? It's okay. Well, we told some people, well, tell them we changed our mind.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's
we're
a great
going to be
mindset.
imperfect.
Yeah. And I love that. I really do love that because I think so many of us, even when I started this, I'm like, it has to be perfect. It has to be perfectly edited. It has to be, everything has to just be so great, and it would be such a build-up, Mm-hmm. And now that I've been doing it for a couple of years now, I'm like, who do I want to talk to? Who do I think has a good story to tell? And that's who I asked to be on it, and I think that if you come at it, for me, I learned if I come at it with a sense of passion and absolute desire to want to do something, I'm going to do it.
I'm an absolute excellence person. I want excellence, and which means I'm eternally unhappy with everything. And I've had to learn over years to not tell anyone.
Yeah.
Just hold that inside myself and know that next time I know what to do, or next time you're going to learn, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
And so that I literally I have a lady who worked with me years ago and ran at my pace and was a perfect match. She's now in the hospital business, but she came to a redM event and she came up to me almost threatening, what are you doing? And I knew what she meant. You're doing too much.
Yeah.
I said, well, honestly, I'm running social media because I can't take it that it's not happening. So I just release all day long. So you're like, okay, that's not happening anymore. And she just took the whole lot off of my everything.
Wow.
I got it all. You should have people doing this. And so she knows. And they, today in the meeting this morning, they were like, so this means that you're the person working with this. That's not going to work. We can't have you. And I mean, it doesn't work. Please take it away.
Yeah.
I love it. Take it away. Because I'm a starter of things, and so I need to have teams. So everyone has an idea. That's great to have an idea, but show me a team.
Yeah.
No team, no idea. No one cares.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and I
so
love.
There's a lot of inventiveness on my side, and I don't mind if it fails. So that's like a seed thrower. You throw seed, and sometimes it lands on your ground, sometimes it doesn't.
That's such a great way to wrap this up too. Is even when I spoke recently on a K-Force national meeting about doing this show, and they were like, how are you, how do you become successful in a remote environment I started in COVID, and I literally said, you're going to make stuff and you're going to feel so stupid, right? And you're going to be like, people are talking about me, and is that okay? And getting rid of, right? Like that fear, getting rid of it. I get that all day.
People say horrible things about me because I do this.
Yep.
He doesn't do his day job. I do my day job.
Yep.
I do it all very well.
You get it done. Yeah. And I think
I have a very remote workforce, and my boss said to me the other day, "You have the worst team." And I went, "Well, what?" And he's the worst team. We looked at all the numbers. They don't come in the office. And I'm like, but their work. Yep. How do you like them? Well, they're the best that there is. I mean,
yep.
Okay, just checking, because I'm pretty sure that's what matters, not
exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining today. But David, again, thank you so much. If you want to get involved in redM, I will put the link. I got to get one of those mugs.